Hey, what's up guys? It's Alex Espinoza with the Rickey Henderson to YouTube. Make sure to use my affiliate link down below for Last Dive Bar and use the code RickeyBlog for 10% off. Help out your boy. Alright, so let's jump into it. The Oakland Ballers announced that they've raised about $2 million from 53 investors, according to Business Insider. And they set the investment minimum at $8,900. So the article said it was an investment limit, and I thought it was an investment maximum, but it's actually an investment minimum of $8,900. And, you know, some people put the minimum, other people put more, but at the end they raised about $2 million. And the Ballers, of course, invested about $1.6 million into Raimondi Park this past couple months to get it renovated and up and running. I mean, they did a bang-up job in a couple of months. I think they had about 5 or 6 weeks of runway in between when they started putting in the grass and all the seats and everything to opening day. And they just wrapped up their first 12-game homestand, and they had a pretty big crowd on Sunday for Father's Day. They had about 2,700, which I believe was their biggest crowd since opening day when they had about 4,000. So congrats to the Ballers on getting through their first homestand, and I only heard really good things, you know. I think Oakland fans are really excited to finally go to a game and not have to worry about, you know, being mad about John Fisher. And yeah, just kind of go to the game and chill. And I really like sitting down the right field line, honestly. You got the skyline beyond the left field fence. You got the little bees shed, or the colored sheds down the third base line. It's a pretty cool setup to have here. So if you haven't been, definitely check it out. And through the first 12 games, they're averaging about 1,700 fans. And they're already a quarter of the way through their home games for the year. So they have about 48 home games for the whole season, and they've already had 12. So that attendance puts them kind of in the middle of the pack for the Pioneer League. I believe they're 5th or 6th of the published teams that they have, because there's 2 teams missing: the YOLO High Wheelers, which is the other franchise that Paul Freeman and Brian Carmel started up in Davis, and the Northern Colorado Owls. Their attendance figures weren't published on these numbers, so I'm not sure where they land here, but looks like the Ballers are kind of right in the middle of the pack. So the Business Insider also published a slideshow deck that the Ballers were using to do their investment round, and I thought there were some interesting things of note. And of course, they noted that they're, you know, taking the reins of Oakland baseball from the A's after the A's were here for 56 years, and just letting people know that they hope that in this market there's still an appetite for baseball. So while they were, you know, going through this deck, they noted the Savannah Bananas and their success, because it's more about the fan experience. Like, yes, the on-field product is fun and stuff, and I don't think we were going to expect the Pioneer League to bust out the crazy rules like Savannah Bananas anyway, you know, anytime soon. But I think, you know, they're worried about, you know, the fan experience and, you know, little things like that, like the 10th inning, instead of going to extra innings, they just have a home run derby to win it. And I saw one of those last week. It was pretty cool, I have to say. And then another thing too is that they want to build a strong media component to their brand. And in this deck, they mention, or at least they put a graphic of Wrexham FC, which is, you know, the wildly popular soccer show that's kind of blown up the past couple of years. The Ballers have already done some really cool video stuff. If you check out this video from Sunday, you'll see Noah Martinez hitting a grand slam. You can kind of see how big the crowd was there too. It was, yeah, I mean, you know, almost 3,000, you know, 2,700 people in a 4,000 person ballpark. It looks pretty good in there.
Get out.
So I'm not sure exactly when this deck was originally published, but again, it came out this weekend. But on one of these slides here, it says that the Ballers were trying to raise $2 million on a $6 million valuation, and then after that, they'd initially raised $5 million. So I'm assuming that this is that initial $2 million funding, and then they're going to still get 5 more later. So I guess they're shopping around the franchise at a $6 million valuation right now. And as they noticed, the Oakland Roots have had a lot of success kind of in a similar model. And they noted that the Roots are valued at about $80 million right now, the soccer franchise. And it's also worth noting that the Roots, you know, they had a whole separate round of public funding investment funding where the minimum was $100. So a lot of fans got a piece of the roots too, and kind of show their support, and it was really successful. And I believe the Ballers are going to try to explore that avenue as well eventually down the road. So yeah, hopefully the Oakland Ballers can figure this out and become a really valuable community asset for Oakland. I mean, personally, I just love going to the games. My dad and my brother, I went with them the other day. They had a great time going to their first games, and I think it's just more, they're still in that brand awareness stage right now. I think they still have to get their name out there, but hopefully it works out for them and they can stick out here in the long term. The Ballers have said that they have a permanent contract with the Pioneer League, so I assume they'd be staying here. They've had 3 players get picked up and brought up to, different MLB organizations already. So let's see what happens. But, I would love to see. Yeah, I'm just curious to see how the whole stadium grows right now. Sometimes I feel like it's our Oakland's own little Wrigley Field or something. They even got the ivy out in the the buildings out in left field, and I would just love to see. I think I saw one of the buildings out there, or at least one of the rooms. It's completely empty. One of them has a for sale sign, so I would love to see some bars get put in there, some rooftop bars or something, to go over there and watch the games. Or some cool parties happen in the apartment complexes over in right field, so it's pretty cool. And also, hey, the Ballers also introduced their new mascot called Scrappy, who is a nod to the rally possum at the Coliseum. So here's a look at Scrappy getting revealed this weekend. And shout out to Too Short for wearing Oakland Bees gear. Danny Vietti shared this video of Too Short wearing some Oakland Bees gear at a Big 3 basketball event recently. So that's what's up with the Bees. They had a big 16-3 to win on Sunday. They're 14-10 right now, and they're going to be on the road for a week, but then they'll be back at home next week for another homestand. So, all right, on to another sport. We're going to be talking about soccer now. And back on June 6th, the San Jose Ultras, they're super diehard, ultra supporter group of the San Jose Earthquakes. They put out a vague statement, but it was shared widely on Twitter this past weekend, and kind of got on my timeline in the A's Twitter sphere. And it sounds like the Ultras are protesting going to games, but it's unclear why. And here's the full text of the statement. The statement reads, "We have sought a resolution to an outstanding issue regarding relations between our group and the front office. Our patience has now run out. We believe the furtive handling of the situation demonstrates a lack of good faith and possible ulterior motives. This is unacceptable, and we have decided to meet your silence with silence to urge a more timely resolution of this situation. We don't expect preferential treatment, but we do expect fairness. We believe we deserve at least a fraction of the respect we have shown this organization for over 2 decades. We wish the best to our players and believe they have what it takes to turn this season around." So they haven't issued any other statements beyond this, and I emailed the Ultras, just their membership email, to see if I could get some clarification, but I didn't hear anything back. And so I just went to Reddit. I just Googled and kind of see what I could find online. I just kind of went to Reddit and went through some comment sections and some posts about it. And it doesn't sound like we should really be expecting the Ultras to issue any more communications about this. One commenter wrote, "I believe it has to do with a recent string of heavy-handed member suspensions, bans, and some in-game security issues." And somebody else wrote, "I don't get the hate for the Ultras in here. Fact is, they are one of the most authentic supporter groups in the entire league. I've had supporter season tickets since PayPal Park opened, and members have always been cool and welcoming of anyone to get up and chant for the Quakes. This club uses them for marketing and advertising and frankly treats them like stepchildren. If they don't want people to know their business, that's on them. This club is lucky, given the on-field product for the past decade and the shitty ownership, that they even have any diehard supporters left, given what fans have been subjected to watching. The front office and coaching staff has taken zero accountability so far and owes us all an apology for this disaster of a season." So, if you take a look at the standings right now, the MLS and the Western Conference, the Quakes are dead last. And then if you also take a look at the spending that the Quakes have done this season, according to Spotrac, they rank 26 out of 29 teams in salary. And their stadium isn't even 10 years old yet. Via Stadium was completed in February 2015. And the next year, in 2016, they were 11th out of 22 in spending. But that's the only year since they built the stadium that they were in the top half of the league in spending. So 2016 they were 11th. Then the next year they were 15th, and they pretty much lived in the 20s since then, except for 2020 when they were 17th out of 26. But pretty much they've been in the bottom third of the league in spending, despite having the stadium that they built at PayPal Park. And earlier this year, a couple months ago, I was down at PayPal Park to see the Quakes play the Roots in the U.S. Open Cup. And I talked to this A's fan, Jacob, who had something, A's fan. He's actually a Quakes fan and a Giants fan, but he said he sympathized with A's fans because he sees the parallels in this situation and the Quakes situation, the A's situation and the Quakes situation. I told him I was there for an A's YouTube channel, and this is what he had to say. I thought it was interesting.
How has he been as an owner of the Earthquakes? And I'm really not established.
I think that he finally spent a little bit of money. He spent $7 million on number 23, Hernan Lopez Munoz, who just came over. He started tonight, played half, but really the lack of financial input into the team, in my opinion. The team has I believe, not had a winning record in the last 10 seasons, and you could really attribute that, I think, to the lack of finances involved with trying to sign players. He complained about the stadium being outdated. Meanwhile, this was opened, I think, in 2014.
It's like 10 years, right?
It's a beautiful stadium.
It's a great stadium.
No, and he complained about it, and unfortunately, he just doesn't seem to have a passion for the game. Same thing with the A's, too. I mean, it's not a coincidence that the A's and the Earthquakes are both teams owned by him. They both have very low payrolls, and they're both very bad. The Quakes are dead last right now in MLS.
Thanks to Jacob for that perspective. I know people get really emotional, but I liked his measured take about the whole thing. And another Reddit user said that this will probably stay between the Ultras and the front office. Quote, "It's between them and the front office. No one from the Ultras is going to provide more details. The statement was posted to make sure everyone knows that it's a protest not against the player's performance." So I think this is probably closer to the truth. I mean, I think whatever spat is going on between those two things, I don't think it has anything to do with the players. And another Reddit user said, "This is the first time the Ultras have protested since 2019, so about 5 years." But there is a lot of history between the Ultras and the front office here. I just did a little bit of research, and it looks like back in 2013, the Ultras were also on probation after they made a TIFO in Portland that said, "Only in PDX, running over a female makes you a victim." Honestly, I don't know what that's in reference to. I don't know if somebody got run over or something. But anyways, so after that, the Ultras were temporarily banned from making TIFOs, traveling to road games, using smoke, and were being monitored on their language. And that was one of various incidents that kind of back in 2013, it seemed like there was a lot of drama. And SB Nation wrote a lengthy post in 2013 kind of detailing all these different things here. And it seems like it was brewing for a while, for a few months or a year. Just about 10, 11 years ago, there was a lot of turmoil between those two sides. And they were going through a lot of back and forth stuff. But I don't want that to be people's impression of the San Jose, the San Jose Earthquakes Ultras, because I just did a little bit more research, and I was unfamiliar with their game, man. They did some really, really cool TIFOs and displays and stuff like that, like even dating back to the 2010s, when the Quakes were kind of getting back into this stuff. And it looks really awesome. I mean, check this out. So it seemed, it seems like they brought like a European atmosphere to it. It seems really cool. So A's fans, you are not alone in this fight against John Fisher. It seems like Earthquakes fans are also doing the same thing. I forgot to turn on my neon lights earlier, so hey, now that we're talking about Vegas, this is perfect. According to Mick Akers of the Las Vegas Review-Journal, the A's are going to be hosting and meeting local fans starting tonight through Wednesday to get their input about the local ballpark and what they want to see. And this isn't the first time they've done this. Actually, back in 2021, November 2021, when they were in the exploratory stages of Vegas, they also reached out to Las Vegas Aviators fans to get their input on the ballpark. And it sounds like one of the biggest concerns back then was having a location that was easy to get in of and out of. And I think it's relevant to think about that now as the A's are settling into this location on the Strip. And SB1 even has language saying that the location has to be on the southeast corner of Las Vegas Boulevard and Tropicana Boulevard. So last year, after the A's initially announced their binding land deal at Wild Wild West, Dave Kaval gave this interview with the local ABC station in Las Vegas. And thanks to Casey Pratt for sharing this on his channel recently. But check out what Kaval says about the advantages of Wild Wild West. He's saying that they liked it there because it was actually adjacent, strip adjacent. It was on the other side of, I believe, Highway 15. So it's like the strip, highway, and then the stadium would be here. And Kaval touted this location as an advantage because of the ingress and egress.
We heard from fans right at the beginning. They want somewhere that's easy to get to, ingress, egress, on-site parking. 70% of our fans are going to be locals. So the location really makes a ton of sense. You're still in the resort corridor, so you can get the tourists, but you can have the locals get in and out very easily.
At that time, the advantage of the Wild Wild West side was it'd be easy to get in and out of because the freeway was right there and it was off the strip. But now that they're on the strip and they're trying to get on that Tropicana lot, the A's are, of course, telling a different story. Here's a quote from last September. So this is just, a few months after this TV interview where Kaval told Tim Cowan for ESPN, "That's the busiest intersection in the West. There are more people there. Cars, people, eyeballs. If you go to Vegas, you end up there. And so it's quintessential Vegas. It's right on the strip. And so I think it will, in many ways, be one of the most exciting and iconic locations for a sports venue in the world because we're there." So again, this kind of contradicts what he was saying earlier in the year. It was like 70% of his fans are going to be local, but now if the locals don't want to go to the strip, why are they doing that? Back and forth with the A's, you never really know. And of course, right now the Tropicana is in the process of being demolished. And in October, they're going to have the big implosion of the towers. And hopefully by spring, the plan is that the A's are hoping that they'll be able to start construction on their ballpark. But of course, they still need to get a development agreement figured out. There's a chance, Steve Hill said it, Las Vegas Stadium Authority Chairman, Steve Hill said that it's pretty likely the A's could have a development agreement by the July 18th meeting. So that's coming up in about a month. And the language in SB1, of course, says that the A's need to have a development agreement approved by December of 2024, or the Las Vegas Stadium authority to approve this will expire, and it sounds like they might have to go through the whole Senate bill process again, which I'm sure they don't want to do. Maybe they have lost some votes and lost some public opinion from last April when they got the last June when they got SB1 approved by Nevada legislators. So, want to keep taking another look at Las Vegas Review-Journal's coverage, as Mick Akers also says that Las Vegas could be in pole position to host neutral playoff games if MLB goes in that direction. Like the NFL, they host the Super Bowl at neutral locations, so maybe MLB will do that eventually. And Kaval thinks that the A's will be in a good position if they're in Vegas to host those neutral site games. He said, kind of like the Super Bowl, Vegas is one of the best places to have those neutral site games. So in the end, if it ever went that direction, I think it could actually be a net positive to Las Vegas because it would be such a natural and neutral location. The National Finals Rodeo has also signed an extension to stay in Vegas through 2035. And of course, the A's are trying to get their ballpark done by 2028. And it sounds like there's a possible that the rodeo could be coming to the A's ballpark in December of those years. So, hey, already booking up those off-season events in Vegas, And speaking of the A's, it's a rough time to be an A's fan. They've lost 9 in a row. Saturday they got rained out in Minnesota, so on Sunday they had a doubleheader and lost both of them. Got swept in a 4-game set. They lost 9 in a row. Looking pretty rough right now. So early last week, honestly, it was even more brutal against the last 2 games against the Padres. Both ended in walk-off dingers, back-to-back. Even one given up by Mason Miller. And Miller also blew a save on Friday when he walked in a run with the bases loaded. So over the last 9 games, he's got a 4.76 ERA and given up 3 dingers in about 11 innings. So he had that streak of, I think it was 18 1/3, where he looked superhuman and nobody could hit him. He was a scoreless streak. But ever since then, almost an ERA of 5. So Mason Miller is human, y'all. But he's still going to be the A's All-Star, I believe. And speaking of all-star voting, the first set of votes are out. It doesn't look like Brent Rooker has a really good chance of making it the fan vote as DH. I think his only chance would be if he mashes and he gets on the players vote, or the commissioner's office. They're the ones who pick the reserves. But right now he's in 7th place at DH, and Giancarlo Stanton's in solid second place, and Yordan Alvarez, who actually deserves to be the starting DH, I think is going to be the starting DH. So I think Alvarez and Stanton probably going to be locked. So then Rooker's got some competition, so we'll see if he's got any shot, but I think it's pretty safe to say Mason Miller is the A's safe chance, unless he completely just gets blown up here. But I think Mason Miller is going to get his first All-Star nod as a rookie. So I think the A's frustration was best shown on Sunday when Scott Emerson got ejected. I don't know how much of this clip I can show before YouTube flags it, but I'm going to try to share a little bit of him dropping some F-bombs from the A's dugout after he thought that the third base ump didn't call a check swing.
Someone from the Oakland A's dugout.
That's Scott Emerson.
So the A's are heated, and it was a really frustrating week, like I said. They haven't won since the reverse boycott, the F. John Fisher Fest, which seems like a long time ago. And they lost 8-7 in their second game on Sunday, and they gave up a late run, and it was even more brutal when you consider that Shea Langoliers was robbed by Austin Martin in center field. Just look at the reaction from the bullpen here. And perhaps the most promising thing is that Tyler Soderstrom is off to the past 8 games. He's on an 8-game hitting streak, and he's got 4 dingers in the past 7 games. He looks like a legit big leaguer after he really struggled last year and looked like he was in his head, but just happy for him as a young kid. It looks like, he's proving to himself like, I belong here. And, he's the A's everyday first baseman right now. Ryan Noda still in AAA, and this is Soderstrom's job right now. So see Soderstrom and Gelliff over there are going to develop together probably over on the right side of the infield there. I think it's pretty cool. The A's have an off day today, but they'll be hosting the Royals later this week, and then starting tomorrow, and then the Twins are back here this weekend. And want to wrap it up with some Oakland Coliseum news. The Oakland City Council unanimously approved the sale of the city's half of the Coliseum lot to AASEG for $105 million. And AASEG is the African American Sports and Entertainment Group, who remains in talks with the A's to buy their half of the Coliseum lot. And the A's, of course, recently finished their purchase of the county's half for $85 million. So now the A's own half and AESEG owns half, but AESEG is trying to buy the A's half, so they own the whole thing. And last we heard from Casey Pratt, he's hearing rumblings of about $125 million as the A's asking price. And they bought it for $85 million in 2019, so the A's are trying to make about $40 million here and get a little bit more money to help them build the ballpark. Of course, the A's need to put down the first $100 million on the ballpark in Vegas, according to the language in SB1. The Oakland Roots are in support of this sale, and they have an agreement along with the Oakland Soul, the women's soccer team, to play up to 34 home games there next year, or 38, I believe, I forget. But either way, both of those teams can play all their home games at the Coliseum next year, which I think will be really cool. And the Oakland Ballers, their co-founder Brian Carmel told us on the pod a couple of weeks ago that the Ballers would be open to playing, big games there next year at the Coliseum, like Father's Day or 4th of July, but that they want to focus on Raimondi Park as their future home. So it looks like there's, the Ballers, Roots, and Soul could all be playing there next year, which I think is pretty cool. And AESEG says they have, contingency plans for, one professional team, 2 teams, even 3 teams, or no teams. Sounds like they have different plans for different things. Of course, there's a lot of moving parts here, but like we saw a couple of weeks ago, Zach Bryan, huge country star, had a big old concert there. I think it's definitely still usable as an entertainment venue. And I'm sure those people came from all over Northern California to see that concert. So, let's see what AESEG does with it. I'm cautiously optimistic that they're going to, revitalize that part of Oakland and keep it alive. If not, just completely bring something completely new there that hasn't been there before with the residential and entertainment district. So see what happens with that. And last but not least, Here's the latest sell update from Last Dive Bar from Target Field in Minnesota. And I also want to give a shout out to A's fan Hannah. She works for the Ballers as well. First she was in Portugal, but now she's in Spain. She's been going around Barcelona with the Cell flag in front of the Sagrada Familia and Park Güell in Barcelona as well. So I think that's pretty cool. So shout out to Hannah. And yeah, make sure to go to lastdivebar.com. Use my affiliate code RickeyBlog. Use my affiliate link down below. Make sure you get 10% off and help out your boy. All right, thanks a lot for listening. I'll be back with another Rickey Report sometime soon. Thanks.